The Business Now show is a talk show that allows and looks into how God uses you and I as vessels to bring to pass His will and His business and my business in all our different lives. The talk show will be a platform. It showcases the experiences of Christians and non-Christians. The whole idea of this talk show is to bring it all together, to be able to share with you and to glorify God about the things that He's been doing in our life so that we can encourage each other and to prepare us for some of the challenges that we might face in life as Christians and how to overcome them. We welcome you to come and learn with us. We definitely know that we don't know everything. We will put up phone numbers, we'll put up email addresses. The whole idea being that you can make your contributions, you can make special requests of what you want to see covered, and you can send some feedback, and we can all work together to learn together and to give God all the glory through what He's been doing in each of our lives. Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Ogechi, as I'm sure you know. I'm your host for Business Now. Welcome to this show, this series of the Business Now show. With me today is Esona Onoha. Esona is my guest for today. I've known Esona for like ever, maybe 30, 40 years. Our families, our friends, we share a lot of common friends. Esona is a great entrepreneur. He started very young, and I would like him to just come. I've invited him here today to come and share some of his experiences starting up. He's the CEO and the director of Smate and Smate International, as well as a few other companies. Esona, would you like to talk us through where you started, what your company does, how you matured into the businessman that you are now? Because I know it's been a journey, hasn't it?
Well, I have to be grateful to God for that journey.
Yes.
It hasn't been an easy one. I started quite young in life.
How old were you when you started?
Well, I think I had my first taste in business at the age of 17, really.
Really?
First taste in business.
Wow.
I had recently left the UK. I just came to the UK 1991 and got involved with the network marketing world. And that was my first taste in business. Network marketing, as you know, has its own drawbacks and its own. Everybody tells you, you'll make money rich, you'll make money, you'll get rich quick, you'll make money quickly. However, my experiences in it were not as rosy as anybody else's.
I don't want to say anything, but I'm just one of those people that I don't do network marketing. I've never done.
Yeah.
The only network marketing I would do is mine. So when I get to the point where I've set something up and I've got that structure in place, then I'll participate because I know that I would believe in the product. But apart from that, I never had it down as something.
All that glitters isn't gold.
No.
I managed to plunge my student loans into it, and I learned the lesson the hard way.
Yes.
But that lesson took me on a journey which started from the UK, and I ended up in Czechoslovakia.
Are you serious?
Yes, and this was all in the name of network marketing.
So tell us about it. How did this happen?
Well, as a young man, we kind of got involved with the company at the time called NSA, and they were involved in making water filters.
Okay.
And they had this system that you could sell these wonderful contraptions where you put coffee inside and pure water comes out.
Really?
So we thought, amazing.
Were they expensive?
Well, there are different price ranges. There are some for the house, some for the businesses, and some for the portable ones you can carry with you. So at the time, we plunged all our student loans into my partner and I, my flatmate, partner and friend, and we decided to make it work. But we realized that we weren't selling these things, and obviously you have to get people.
You were buying them,
yes.
You weren't selling them, nobody was joining.
You had to basically buy as much so you could be promoted as such, but people were not joining as much as we thought they would. So in the end, we ended up with a house load of water filters that we had to get rid of somehow. So a friend suggested that we go to Russia because they had a water problem.
Did they?
Apparently at the time we couldn't drink water in a tap in Russia. In the hotels they'll tell you, do not drink this water.
Oh really?
Basically you're going to maybe pass out if you drink this water.
Really?
So the water was so bad that we felt if we took these products there,
you might have a match.
Have a market.
Yeah.
There. So we started our journey. We got to France, met some friends. We went by road, by the way. We met some friends.
All the more interested.
Partied in Paris as young men would do. Stopped in Switzerland. Partied in Switzerland, and then
was this really a business venture?
We didn't actually get anywhere, but we learned a lot. We met a lot of people on the way who were businessmen, and I was quite an engaging young man at that age. And I had dropped out of A levels, by the way.
Oh, really?
My parents didn't know where I was, and we were just going around trying to get these things shifted. And in the process, we met business people.
Real business people, as it turns out.
So we would ask questions: how did you become successful? What did it for you? And we found ourselves gravitating onto in Switzerland, met an amazing man who's late, by the way, And he took us from face value as we met him in a pub, and he ended up giving us board in his house. We lived in a massive mansion, and from there we realized he was a businessman. He was involved in import-export.
What was it? Can I ask what his name was?
His name was Freddie Garrick.
Okay.
Freddie Garrick. He was living in a place called Rapperswil
in Switzerland.
Okay. And we stayed with him. He was like a big brother to us. He was white, obviously. And recently divorced. He was going through a bad patch in his life. His wife had left him.
So it was a good company.
Friends. So
yes.
He let us come and stay with him, and we were amazed that he was living in this massive house, even though he was dressed like a tramp in the pub where we met him, and give us the benefit of the doubt. I think it was a divine intervention, to be honest with you. Jesus kind of like came out of us and said,
so let's have some mercy on these
let's put these people
together. They need each other.
Exactly.
Yes.
And he gave us the mentorship we needed in
in
business, because he became the one that we kind of saw sit down in his house, pick up the phone, and within a phone call or two, he has made $50,000 by selling something that's needed in one country. And buying it in a very smart way.
Are you serious?
To buy food that's not expired yet, but might expire in soon, as long as he knew he could sell it in Eastern Europe fast. He was that adept at getting production at the right price and taking it to a market where it's needed, and he can sell it quickly.
And it will be used in time.
Leave the house. Really? When he would go into his bank.
So that was the first time you really saw someone doing business, making money.
It amazed us. And for young men who are teenagers, pretty much, it was good to watch. And from there, our ambitions were fired up, and we ended up going to still try and push the products in Prague. And when we got to Prague, Prague was a whole new renaissance. I mean, the communist system had fallen, and the capitalist system had just come in. And at this point, the countries, Czechoslovakia, became Czech and Slovak. And opportunities were in every...
We're being birthed in every corner, every industry.
You had the Americans there, you had the Brits there, you had other Europeans there, the Far Easterners, all coming together to see how they can help these people who have been living in this bureaucratic darkness called communism.
To develop into something more operable, something capitalist.
So at that stage in life, I was young enough and hungry enough to understand what was going on. I was inquisitive enough to learn. So I got involved in production. I got involved in TV commercials. The Czechs were actually very good at commercials and movies. They have actually one of the best studios in Europe, the Barandov Studios, sited in Prague. So while there, I happened to bump into people who liked the fact that I was black and not a student, because most of the black people who were there at the time were students on the scholarship for Diamond Exchanges with Angola and some of these African countries.
So they probably didn't realize you were a student in the UK. A runaway student, as it turns out.
Exactly. Because I was engaging, I was keen to learn about people. I was keen to learn about cultures. And then I got involved in trying to organize a multicultural festival there.
Really?
I was trying to bring the world to Prague. And we had this idea that we could have a carnival modeled on the Notting Hill Carnival. And, Notting Hill was...
I remember how many we went to.
Black culture. There you go. So we decided to try and do the Notting Hill Carnival. To replicate that and have the Prague Carnival 1994. And we put a lot of effort into it. We actually got embassies to sign up to bring in acts from their country. We were going to have 6 different stages representing different continents and have different things going on the different stages to bring the culture of the world, the rich culture, to these people. Because, Prague was one of those places where you could go to a post office. I think it happened to me once. I went to a post office and I was in a queue. And this old lady, probably in her 80s, she was just there in the queue, and she turns around, sees a black guy. Wah! She just screams.
Are you serious?
She had never seen a black person in real life, only on TV. So,
it was a big shock for her.
It was a shock for her. I was glad she didn't have a heart attack. I mean,
on your account,
I was a bit worried, obviously, that, why am I the center of attention? But I was also concerned that at her age,
she didn't want to be jumping and shouting.
It showed you that there was a lot to culture there. So I decided to set up a company, one of my earliest companies, the Prague Carnival Enterprises. And we were going to bring the carnival. But we organized several events up to that point, and we did the Restaurant of the Year competition to bring food into it as part of culture. It was food, music, and all the things that make up culture. And we got into newspapers, got into TV, and eventually, as luck would have it, we ended up not having the carnival in the end.
Oh, really?
And I learned one of the biggest lessons in business from that experience. We waited, I think it was too late for us to get the permits to use the streets. We didn't actually know we had to get individual permits
For each street.
Also, we thought the blanket agreement we had with the mayor's office gave us the right to have the event, but we didn't realize that we had to go and apply.
Street by street.
It's the bureaucracy of the communist days. But by the time we realized it was too late, there was not
actually
enough time
obtain
to
that.
adjust, and sponsors started dropping out on that basis. And here I was with all the hype we've made and no event.
How did you deal with it?
It was a very big blow, obviously, naturally.
Imagine.
I decided to go back to school because I felt that I missed something. I felt that maybe this education.
There was something that the education should have given you, which you didn't pick up while you were in Prague. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't.
So you then left and came back to the UK, did you?
Yes, I came back to the UK. My mom was obviously
overjoyed,
happy. She was surprised and screamed to see me. I think she knew I was coming back as well. So there I was, back again, the good boy. I'm glad
at least wearing the good boy hat.
Very, very welcoming. And
yes.
I mean, bless them. Without them, business would have been a non-starter for me. I mean, my parents have been supportive in their own ways. My dad is an accountant by profession. My mom, a nurse. So both of them, my mom is kind of like prudent. My dad is also prudent. You know,
accountants have that tendency, don't they?
Accountancy. So I was obviously raised to be a bit risk averse. You know, it was about calculating your...
That didn't really work, did it?
No, it didn't.
It didn't really work.
I think my dad was actually meant to be an entrepreneur, but he had an experience that stopped him and shocked him in the 70s.
Okay.
And I know there was a time after the Biafran War, one of his earlier enterprises was to charter planes to take Nigerians back after the war to go and see their loved ones. And for some reason, his partner who was meant to arrange landing permits in Africa didn't take care of that side of it, and they ended up having to refund a lot of people money. And since that time, he never gave up on enterprise and just went to study accountancy and became an accountant. And
he was been happy in that path.
Has been a very successful.
Yeah. So here, whereas you see, this is so funny how life is. Whereas when you took your first blow, you adjusted, absorbed it, and pressed on. But he took his first blow and he thought, "This isn't for me. I can't deal with this level." And
those lessons are there to guide us. Because had it not been for his own experiences, I might not have even wanted to even go into it at all in the first place. But the fact that he did gave me this belief in myself that I could actually try and go again. So in getting back to the UK, I went back to study. I got into Birmingham, University of Central England at the time, to study economics and marketing combined. And I only lasted a year there because I found myself
with another enterprise,
from the working world, and then seeing myself listening to all these theoretical things from the lecturers and coming from the
real world.
It was just going over my head. So somehow, while trying to attend to studies, I set up a business called KekeAds Marketing to advertise on dustbins, because students used to gather in communal places outside the library, as you know, in school, and have their cigarettes. And they would obviously need to stop it out somewhere because they were stopping it out on the floor. So we thought we could create a bin which could be placed on a wall with an advert space that will fund us manufacturing the bins and putting there. And that way it will create a business that would be useful.
So how did that go?
Well, it lasted about a year, because by the time we got into a few universities, we realized that, personally I realized that you need funds for that sort of business. You need to be able to manufacture these things and put them out there while waiting for your advertiser base to grow. Yeah. And you needed people who were committed enough to go out and sell their advertising spaces to these companies as well. So at that time, I wasn't quite grounded in the UK business environment. So again, you learn.
You move on. You take the knowledge with you.
Yeah. So eventually, from there, I ended up, working with some other people to set up a network marketing business.
Again.
Because I was in the student world this time around, and I'd seen money now coming in as a student. So I figured that if we could do it, because there was a company called One Life at the time who you'd put some money in, they'll sell you a personal development package without any actual products. And if you find 3 people to do the same thing, but it was a pyramid scheme, basically. So by the time we started this and we got it going, we moved to London, started, promoting it around London. And the company we were trying to copy went bust spectacularly. DTI closed them down. So obviously we knew that the business model
something isn't right.
Yeah. The way they were telling us, we just basically had mirrored out what they were saying. They had a product. And again, one learned a lesson, and all the money I had put into it from the advertising days, obviously we lost a lot of things.
Wow.
And you actually do your businesses with more caution.
Yes.
With the experience guiding you better, and you get stronger, and you do things more effectively.
Yes.
So in learning from the network marketing days, it was kind of like what to do next now that they've closed down. And at the time, we had been nurturing this idea about using the internet, because the internet was still newish then. This was back to 1996 or thereabouts. I remember with a friend, I came up with an idea where we could get models, people that want to be models, supermodels, to send us their photographs, and we could put it on a database so that companies that are searching for models that are black, yellow, green, or blue-eyed, green-eyed could put those search criteria into a website and get a list of people that match their criteria, and then pay us as well.
Yeah, so almost like a subscription.
Exactly. So we were one of the first and earliest internet-based modeling agencies at the time. We were ahead of our time. And it was called Global Exposure Marketing. And with this business, I guess the partner I had at the time was a childhood friend who, was quite bright at secondary school, came to the UK.
Where did you go to secondary school? Here?
I was in King's College, Lagos.
Okay, so you had both gone to King's College, UK together. So it seemed like a great idea.
Together at the time.
Yes.
So it was a good idea for us to partner together.
Yes. Someone you know.
But he had more experience in the theoretical side of things. So he had done his research. Everything was done meticulously. We built a business that was even at that time ahead of its time in terms of outsourcing. We outsourced everything. We didn't actually do any real work ourselves other than the concept, protecting it, and making sure we had a company doing the fulfillment. All our forms were housed with them. They answered the phones for us.
So you had your supply chain established, put in place.
All we had to do was just promote the business, do our PR, do the marketing for it, and make sure we popularize it. Because the mathematics was quite simple. Out of every 20,000 girls who are beautiful that want to be models, and they can all be models, only 20 of them go ahead to get recognized. And out of that 20, only one will become a supermodel, thereabouts, like the Naomi Campbells of the world.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that the 20,000 who aspire
not going to try,
they should be given that opportunity. So we gave it to them cheap, rather than them have to go and be paying to go for different casting calls and like the likes of that.
You give them the internet platform.
The platter of the internet to be able to pay a simple subscription fee, an annual one, and they would house their photographs on our server, and the searchers will come and search for it. So, as a business, it was a good idea.
Sounds like a winning one.
It was a winning one until the point where his parents felt that he should give more time and devotion to his studies.
This is your business partner?
It's a business partner. We were both young at the time, obviously, of your university.
How old were you at this age?
At this point, I would say I was 23 years old.
You really started early, didn't you?
23 years old at this point, yes, around 1996. So, at that point, I felt disheartened because we had put a lot of effort and against student loans. It's about funding your business.
This is so
to fund your business, you had to use student loans.
I can't help but laugh. This is so funny. People take student loans for different things, to pay their rent, to get money to go to school, to eat. Esther, on the other hand, had his business loans for business, his student loans for business ventures. But it just shows your mind, isn't it? As an entrepreneur, you're constantly looking for sources of funding. Yes. And however the money would come, you would deprive yourself of anything just to be able to get that money, to use it for what you believe is a great idea. And that's what, when I hear Esther talking about his student loans, that's just what I sense. I just sense
that you have to watch that money go.
And it doesn't come back because you're learning.
Exactly. And it's the price you pay for the school of life. And no matter what happens, as long as you get
invaluable lessons.
Thank you. As long as you get better with it, the lesson there was quite simple. It was nice to have a great idea, but I learned I wasn't going to ever sell my idea cheaply to anybody. Yeah,
you need to get, I always say that, and this is such a great lesson, if you want to partner with someone, first of all, I always, me, I'm one of those people, I pray about everything. First of all, pray and just ask God if it's something that he wants you to do. But most importantly, I think the prayer is the most importantly, but after you've prayed, I think then you need to start looking at the practicalities. Is this person on my wavelength? Do they have the same beliefs? Do they have the same motivations, the same driving forces? Because it sounds as though you had a great idea, you had great compatibility with working together, but the motives, it sounds as though you were in control of your decision making, but he wasn't. He was being influenced by his parents.
His parents had a big say in it. And that led us to a point where we had to liquidate the company. Because he didn't want us to carry on. He didn't. I offered to buy his shareholding for £1. He said no, he'd rather liquidate. And I have a feeling, in hindsight now, that it might be a case of him not wanting it to succeed and him not being a part of it at the time.
In hindsight,
obviously, he chose the option of, I tried everything to try and save the business, but he was absolutely resolute that he did not want anything to continue. He wants to kill it completely. and him being the majority shareholder at the time, because the formula we used to determine gave more weight
Ownership.
on the finances to start up than the actual idea and the sweat that we put into it. So we eventually basically had to give up on that business, and I met another friend, an Indian of Indian origin this time.
Would have been even.
And yeah, he actually told me basically I should resign from that company, not put any money towards liquidating it, and just let it be. If that's what he's decided to do it that way. And he gave me advice to come and join him in his own business.
So you moved from owning your own company to becoming an employee. And you know, I always say to people, it sounds like a funny game, a funny move if you were playing chess, you know. But I always say to people that the value that you can get, the experience that you can get in a place of employment as an employee is invaluable in the life of an entrepreneur, because the principles of commitment, dedication, good communication, relationship building, all those things that we like to think of as transferable skills that we would use in our own enterprises are best developed working for somebody else.
Absolutely.
There is so much value. I know as entrepreneurs we don't want to hear that. We want to think that we can always do our thing. And that we can really, but you need developing.
I believe you can't really run your own business effectively until you've actually seen the way business is run.
And a successful business.
Exactly,
yes.
Exactly. And if you get in at the right time and you have an opportunity to see the different departments in the company and what comes together to make the engine run, you will learn and use that when you're going back again into your enterprise, because as an entrepreneur, you always keep going back somehow until you get it right.
Until you get so you find a mix that works.
No matter how many times I fell down, I don't
remember that I've fallen down. Yes.
And I'm just saying,
sometimes I feel that my family members, my sisters, my brothers, they must look at me and think, what is she on? Give me some of this, because I would have just come out of a venture and it might not have been successful in the way that I thought it might be. But it doesn't stop me from thinking up another idea. I don't think it up. It just comes. And then I start having, 2 weeks no sleep, and you're working 24/7, and, you're constantly writing a business plan, it's like you're being pregnant and you're trying to birth something, and you would do anything to see it birth properly. And I think that a lot of the experience that you learn in a place where you're working for someone, you bring that into your business. Remember, as an entrepreneur, you're birthing a fresh business. It's a startup. There's only so much you can learn with those. But when you go into working for someone, most times you're working for a matured organization, or an organization that's been through the startup phase, excelled, succeeded, and is now in a mature stage. So those things that you're learning, you will never be able to learn them when you start yours.
Exactly.
When you've matured and become successful, you can learn them, because then you have that kind of environment. So I think very, very, very good skills that you would have picked up in that place of employment to take on to your next
entrepreneurial level. I mean, invariably, one of the things that actually really, really helped me out was the fact that I had worked for myself previously.
Okay.
Coming in there now, I took on the role as employee as though I was working for myself, and that's what made me a very successful employee.
I was working for yourself. Yeah, I don't mean to cut you there, but they always say, I mean, like the American companies, the smart companies, they recruit. If you see it there, they're looking for people with entrepreneurial spirit.
Yes.
Because they know that if you can be an entrepreneur, you will come into that business, you will come into your job with that passion. As an entrepreneur, you don't sort of take off the hat and keep it. It's something in you.
Yes.
There's always wanting to do the best,
Absolutely.
to do the best, to birth the best. So when you go into a job, you will go with that, which is what you did.
Yes.
You went into, what job was it you took on?
Well, I became a national sales manager for a company that was involved in the deregulated electricity markets.
Are you serious?
Yes, at the time.
Okay, this was in the UK, wasn't it?
Okay, yes. At the time, the UK was going through this deregulation bit, where the big monopolies, British Gas, Eastern Electricity, and the regional electricity companies, had their monopolies broken by the government. So what they had to do then was to find a way of getting customers, the ones who were interested in going into, for example, Eastern Electricity were allowed to sell gas to the customers. So for them to go into the gas markets, they could take a share of the market from British Gas customers and try and put their gas and electricity bills together, and the savings were passed on to the customer. So you had business and domestic customers who were all there, who without having to pay a penny, could change and choose their supplier. Because it was the same gas, it was the same electricity.
Something that never had happened before.
Exactly. So the company I worked for was adept at marketing, door-to-door marketing, and there was a marketing company, direct selling, going around and telling people about the changes and signing them up to this new found freedom. It was extra money in your pockets.
Yes. And you know how
money.
customers like to hear
of course,
extra.
it was very. That's what drove that, and it was a whole rush. So at the time, I got in at a very early part of the business. I spent 2 years growing this business for this other man, and I opened 6 offices for him across the country. Built his company up to about 600 staff strength or more.
When you started, how? Oh yeah,
when we first started, there was about 40 when we first started in Kent in Sidcup. And I remember the first thing I had to do was to go in there and have a look and learn about the business. And when I got there, I found that some of the staff were going joyriding in the daytime.
Really?
Some of the staff were not even coming to work. It was not really as organized as it ought to be. So I took it as my own business, as you do, and fired most of the sales force, even though I was still the new boy in the group as such.
Yes.
But I believed in what I was doing, and I made a case to the managing director that he should believe me, that I'm doing this for him. I'm going to make sure that this business grows and does properly. And with his backing and support, he allowed me to give me the rein to go about building it. And I moved to Scotland, Glasgow, set it up for him. And then eventually, after 2 years, I learned another lesson: no contract.
Oh, you didn't have a contract with him? Wow.
So that now.
What did that mean for you?
For me, it meant a heartbreaking, heart-wrenching.
Financially, what did it mean for you?
Financially, I lost all the commissions that.
For 2 years?
For 2
so
years,
you were working for free?
I was actually getting a good salary, and I had company car and company.
Yeah, but the
bonuses was what it was, and bonuses were enough for me to buy a house, a big house. But unfortunately,
he
because I didn't have
pocketed that.
Contract, he pocketed that.
Wow.
And then I started my own business, and for 5 years, with the experience of what I went through a bad patch, but God lifted me. Jesus picked up my spirit and says, I'm not going to let you fall down here.
Yeah, I'm not done with you.
And put me in charge of my own business. So I created the Energy Exchange UK Limited at the time, and did a similar thing to what we had spent the past 2 years doing. And I became more successful as a business.
That was God's reward, yes.
And had, in 6 years, a fantastic business that grew and saw us win awards as the best customer service company for British Gas. And we also worked for
Excellent.
Yes,
excellent. Wow. Wow, God's amazing, isn't he?
My entrepreneurial story.
Yes, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you. Thank you. I mean, I'm so happy you can stop by and share that with us. It's really blessed me listening to you. I hope it's blessed you, my viewers. We'll be with you next week. We'll have more stories to talk about. Thank you so much for watching the show. It was a pleasure to have your viewing audience today. As always, feel free to send us emails or phone us with any questions you have about this particular show. We'll get right back to you with answers. It will be a pleasure to have your viewing audience next week, same time, 6 p.m. Saturday. We look forward to having you on board. Have a great evening. Thank you.